Starting today is based on the book Spiritual Connection, authored by His Holiness Bhaktivedanta 𝗬𝗏 Maharaj. And the title of this book is Spiritual Connection. As I said, it delineates the topic of guru-disciple relationship with very interesting stories, examples, life experiences, realizations. We'll begin this session by chanting the prayers. 𝗤𝗏𝗪𝗓𝗪𝗏 ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम्। I'm very happy to welcome all of you to this course. It's the first time I am teaching this book, and I've designed this course on the basis of this book. People may ask why a separate course if there's already an ISKCON disciple course. If I am not wrong, I have expressed this before, maybe to this group or to some other group, that ISKCON disciple course is more oriented towards explaining the students about how ISKCON functions as an institute and what is the guru-disciple relationship in ISKCON, how it is to be taken forward from institution point of view. Of course, it does give us a lot of knowledge on how one can be a good disciple as well, but it doesn't go so much into depth of that. So after that is done and a person has understood who a bona fide guru is, how to select a bona fide guru within ISKCON, and what role does a guru play in the lives of a disciple, what are the kinds of guru, I thought it would be nice also to discuss from different pastimes available in different scriptures, how a devotee, a practicing sadhaka, can enhance one's relationship with one's different spiritual masters. If you all understand this, relationship is compared to a seed. Just like a seed has to be very carefully placed into fertile soil, and then it has to be watered so that it can grow into a plant and then into a tree and then give us fruits. Likewise, every relationship has to be cultivated properly. For the process of cultivation, one has to take care of do's as well as don'ts, right? And that has to be properly understood. In the age of Kali, a big problem is that people don't so much understand the science of relationship. And that's why any relationship you take, even material, people find hard time to not what to speak of letting that relationship grow positively. they find hard time just to maintain that relationship. Whether it's relationship between parents and children, whether it's relationship between spouses, whether it's relationship between husband and wife, or brother and sister, or whatever it may be. So what to speak of a relationship between guru and disciple, which is completely spiritual? What is the science behind that? So this book very beautifully describes that. And in this coming 12 sessions, starting from today, we'll deal with the different aspects explained in the book. There are 10 chapters in this book. Those of you who have the copy of it can follow the sessions along with that. Those who do not have will soon receive it, mostly within this week, and then you can start following. Today is anyway an introduction section, so I'm not covering much from the book. I'll start from next week. But today, I would like to tell you certain inspirational, incidents which led to the publication of this book. The book name is Spiritual Connection, and the story behind how this book came into manifestation is very much related to the topic or the title itself. What is the title of the book? The book got manifested also in similar manners. So that will become a very inspirational thing for us to know, because this book is not for us to just read and stay happy with that alone. This book is for us to read, understand, and apply in our life, so that the magic that happens in the life of a disciple by following the instructions of one's guru can not only be understood by us, but also experienced by us. Krishna consciousness is the most miraculous thing. There cannot be nothing more miraculous than Krishna consciousness, because there cannot be a greater miracle than God. And if somehow or other, by some genuine process, I am able to get in touch with God, then that should bring miracles in my life, if I am properly following the process, right? We all want miracles to happen in our life. We all want to experience Krishna's kindness and compassion, Krishna's power to change us. And that is possible if we understand this process very nicely of spiritual connection. When there is good spiritual connection, there will also be tangible amount of transformation that will be happening. So, okay, some comments are there. Fine, Hare Krishnas. Today is going to be more of a one-sided communication. I'm not going to give you any kind of exercise, discussions. I'll be just talking and you'll have to just hear. So I'm sorry for that. I'll try to keep it interesting by telling you stories, but it's going to be more of one-sided today. So here today I've chosen to speak on this, the introduction and the book story. Before I proceed into the things that I want to tell you, I would like to express my immense gratitude towards these three personalities whom you are able to see on the screen. If you know them, very nice. If you don't know them, I can introduce them to you. On the rightmost end, we have His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Then towards his left, or towards the left, on the left side of him, we have His Holiness Bhakti Tirth Swami Maharaj, who is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and was born in US, met Srila Prabhupada there. He was a brilliant student, and he was a revolutionary before he joined Srila Prabhupada, very qualified person who led such an inspirational and amazing life. If you are interested to know more about him, there's a book on him called Black Lotus, and he had huge influence on great people in this world. Personalities like Muhammad Ali, Nelson Mandela, and great celebrities took counseling from him on how they can do their jobs well, spiritually and in principled manner. And then to his left, or on the left of him, we can we have His Holiness 𝗦𝘁cie𝗿𝗀𝘀 Maharaj, who is a disciple of 𝗦𝘁cije_𝗍 Maharaj, who was born in West Africa. And these three personalities are the main source of knowledge given in this book called Spiritual Connection. We have drawn knowledge from their lectures, from their books, and put in the book. The parampara continues. The idea is that, in ISKCON Disciple course, we did discuss about parampara, that there is a guru, there is a disciple, then there is another disciple. In this way, the knowledge is passed down. So here we can see three generations in one sense. Srila Prabhupada, after him the next 𝗦𝘁cije_𝗍 Maharaj, after him the next 𝗦𝘁cije Damodar Swami Maharaj. And also I would like to thank my initiating spiritual master, His Holiness 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗀 Maharaj, for writing the foreword towards this book. And the foreword he says, I recommend that every serious practitioner of bhakti must acquire and absorb the teachings of this book. His Holiness Gopal-Krishna Goswami, ISKCON Guru and GBC. An interesting story to start with. This is given in Mahabharata. It's a story about a person whose name was Devadatta. Now Devadatta was a very poor student as a child. Though he was sent to Gurukul to study, he never did his lessons well. Later on, when he grew, he realized, I did a big mistake. If I would have studied well in my Gurukul days, now when I'm grown up, I would have found some occupation and some means of livelihood. But now I don't know anything. I don't know how to chant mantras. I don't know how to perform sacrifices. I cannot teach people. How will I survive? So then he thought, let me now study. Let me now acquire knowledge. But as people grow old, it becomes difficult to study, because your brain starts getting rusted and you can't remember a lot. So it was quite late, but it's no problem. It's better late than never. He realized I should study now. The problem was that though he came to the right understanding and decision, the approach was not correct. At that time, he should have gone to some teacher and said, I'm sorry, I know it's late, but can you please help me understand certain things from the Vedas? He did not do so. Rather, he thought, let me do a lot of charity and austerity, and by that I'll acquire knowledge. Because he had heard somewhere that nothing is there which cannot be achieved by being austere. 𝗬𝗏𝗀 𝗠 न सिद्ध्यते. He heard that. Just by being austere, you can get everything. So he went to the forest and started performing austerity. Looking at this poor fellow's efforts, Indra, the king of heaven, thought, why not go to him and give him some sound advice? Why is he wasting time? He should actually. Maheshchandraji, you cannot hear me because you have not joined in properly. In Zoom, click on the audio button. There's an audio symbol at the bottom. Click on that. Connect to audio, then you can hear me. If you're not able to hear again, still go to YouTube and watch the video there. So, sorry for that interruption. So, Indra thought, let me help this person. He came down and he told this Brahmana, you see, you're putting so much of effort, but it's going to be all waste of time because you don't know the right process to acquire knowledge. To acquire knowledge, you must go to a teacher. That's the right method. This person was very proud. He said, well, don't give me any advice. Go back from where you have come. Let me continue with what I want to do. He started again doing his austerities and nothing was happening. How it would happen? He was not following the right process. It is said that as people grow, they grow in pride also. As people grow, they grow in pride also, if they are not knowledgeable. If they are knowledgeable, they'll grow in humility. But if they are not knowledgeable, they grow in pride. And because he had quite much grown up, he was very proud. He didn't want to listen to anyone. He was putting all the efforts to acquire knowledge and austerity. Indra was very merciful. He thought, let me not give up on this person. I want to try again. So what did he do? He took the form of a Brahmana and he sat beside a river bank and started pouring sand into the river bank. One day, Devadatta was passing by that river. When he saw this Brahmana putting sand into the river, he asked that Brahmana, "What are you doing, my sir?" Brahmana said, "Don't you see, I am constructing a bridge." And Devadatta laughed loudly. He said, "You are making a bridge with sand in a river that is flowing. How is it going to happen? First of all, you're using sand, you're not using something concrete. And second, the river is flowing and you're putting such small amount of sand, the river will wash away all that sand. There won't be any bridge here, even if you try for hundreds of years." So that Brahmana said, "Well, if you think that I cannot make a bridge like this, then how can you bridge yourself from material world to spiritual world without having the bridge called teacher?" The teacher acts as a bridge who connects you from material to spiritual. How can you make that bridge if I cannot make this bridge? And this then, rang a bell in his system. He started understanding, oh, quite true actually. I don't know what is the process of being connected to spiritual reality. The moral of the story is that we need a teacher for everything. What is there in this world that we have learned without a teacher? Maybe the teacher was not a direct person, maybe something indirect we learned from, but we did learn from a teacher. If we say I learned from television, then that is also in one sense an extension of someone who taught through the television. If someone says I learned through Google, then it is also an extension of someone who taught through Google. If I say I learned from not someone who was my teacher, but someone else, then that person also acted as a teacher without calling himself as the teacher. So we learn everything through someone. So how can we learn about God, about spirituality by ourselves? Not possible. So here we understand from the story that the teacher acts as a bridge. Therefore, great souls who are great teachers are in Sanskrit also known as Tirtha. One meaning of the word Tirtha is bridge. Just like I told you, the name of the disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Tirtha Swami. Tirtha means a bridge who connects from material to spiritual, who gives spiritual knowledge. That is one meaning of the word Tirtha. So this story highlights that point very beautifully. That's why I thought of sharing that with you. Srila Prabhupada writes in this connection in the book Science of Self-Realization, one may ask whether the Guru is absolutely necessary. The Vedas inform us that he is. Tad vijnanartham sa gurum eva vikachet samitpanihi shrotriyam brahmanishtam. Mundakopanishad 1.2.12. We did read this verse when we did this Disciple course. Someone would like to read this? Just anyone can raise the hand. Yes, Neha Mataji. You have to unmute yourself, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
It is not optional. The Vedas enjoin us to seek out a guru. Actually, they say to seek out the guru, not just a guru. The guru is one because he comes in disciplic succession. What Vyasadeva and Krishna taught 5,000 years ago is also being taught now. There is no difference between the two instructions. Although hundreds and thousands of acharyas have come and gone, the message is one. The real guru cannot be two. For the real guru does not speak differently from his predecessors. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we covered this point in his Disciple course also, that here when we talk about Guru, we are not talking about one person, but we are talking about a principle, right? And we discussed this is known as Guru Tattva. All the people who follow this principle are categorized or considered as Guru. And how does a person become qualified to be Guru? Very simple. One who is been a very good student, one who has perfected the teachings of one's guru, then becomes the next guru, the next teacher. This is the science. This is how it works, right? And then because they have already walked on the path, they can show the path. They have already walked the path, so they know what are the challenges and difficulties on the path, and they can warn the disciple, guide the disciple. When the disciple falls, encourage and inspire the disciple. So it's not that they are doing something magical. It's just that they have learned the science and then they are teaching it. Works in any field of education. Similarly, it happens in the field of spirituality also. So is it that only some people can become gurus? No. Anyone who is a good student is qualified to become a guru in future, because that person knows the science. That's how anyone becomes qualified to be a teacher, right? So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching is to everyone, you should all try to become guru. Indirectly, he's trying to say you should all try to become the best student or the good student. Because if you are a good student, you'll naturally become a teacher or a guru. You can teach others. You can tell others how to follow the path nicely. Now, how it is so important for us to know guru and follow is can also be understood from this one incident which I experienced. Very interesting story. It was 2016, and my friend, who actually brought me to Krishna consciousness in the college days, was senior to me, studying chemical engineering, 2 years senior to me. He invited me to join one camp. It was a camp on Panchagavya therapy, treatment of diseases through the 5 products that we get from cow, right? We get 5 things from cow: milk, ghee, curd, and then gomutra and gobar. These 5 things are very pure and they can help cure many diseases. So he was studying that subject and he was holding a camp, an awareness camp, to tell people about it. So he invited me to join that. It was in South India. I don't remember that village name, somewhere close to Mangalore. I first time went there. And that was a very, very beautiful place, a scenic site on a mountain top, hilltop. There were so many beautiful lakes surrounding that mountain. And you would just love to stand on the hilltop and gaze down and look at all these lakes and the agricultural farms. So beautiful. And this person who was managing that whole place had a goshala there on hilltop, something around 80 to 100 cows. There was a Lord Shiva temple there, and a group of people, maybe 20 to 30, had assembled there to participate in that camp. I reached early in the morning. I went there. They welcomed me very nicely. Because the camp was going to start after 2 days, we had 2 days of break, nothing to do much. Secluded place, right? Internet hardly worked there, and you cannot go down to the village very easily. So people are there, they don't have much time talking, playing, discussing. So we asked that person who was managing the whole place there, is there something tangible we can do here? He said, well, yes, there is beyond this mountain. If you cross this mountain and go down, then on another mountain top, there is a cave. And it is said that this cave is inhabited by Agastya Muni. Maybe not now, but long time back, Agastya Muni was living in that cave. Agastya Muni, if you have heard his name, he was a great sage, very powerful sage. So he said that people go there to offer their respects to this sage. If you have time, you can trek up the mountain, go down, again track up another mountain, and go to this cave. So I was there, and there were many young boys also. They were all very excited that let's go, let's try it out. And we asked this person, is it safe or it's going to be very, very dangerous and risky? So the person said, it's very safe, just that there are some wild bears around and few leopards also. But don't worry, they don't attack people and they don't come in the daytime. They may come out in the night time. So that's all. So don't worry, you can go. So we all decided to go. It was very easy to climb the mountain. But when we reached the mountain top, then we saw that the path to the other mountain is a dense forest. And there's no path there actually. There's nothing like there's a path there. You have to make out the path. Now, how do you do that? So this person had informed us, because many people in the past have already gone to the cave, they have left some symbolic marks here and there. Somewhere on some tree they have drawn an arrow, somewhere on some stone, a big stone, they have put an arrow or a sign that take left, take right, go here, go to that direction. So when we reached the mountain top, the first task was to identify all the symbols. Where are they? And from that vantage point, we are looking at the symbols, and we could see some symbols. Okay, there's one in this direction, there's another one in that direction, and then there's another one in that direction. So when this was going on, I asked those boys who were with me, they were not devotees, they were not connected to ISKCON, and they were not into spirituality in any way. I asked them one thing: what lesson do you learn from this whole, scene that we are participating in now? So they said, well, very easy. If no one had done the hard work of making these symbols, we would never know how to reach there. Because they have done this for us, it makes it easy for us to now go there. So then I said, spot on, you understood it very well. And if that is how it is to reach a cave in this world, which is just a few hundred meters away from you, then that is the process also to reach God. There are people who have identified the path, marked the path, and then who are ready to show us how to walk on that path. Just like here in this world, you need a map to reach to places, then there is a map to reach to God also. And who has drawn that map? Those who have already reached there. They have drawn that map, that you take this path. They all found that very wonderful, and we started marching down, going across the path. It took us a couple of hours to reach the cave, a very small cave. There was a deity inside. I don't remember which deity exactly it was. I believe there was a Shiva Linga there. Yes, maybe. And then we spent some minutes there, and then we thought, now let's go back. It's going to be breakfast time. All of us are very hungry. We started early in the morning. But when we came out of that cave, we realized there are no symbols or marks to show us the path back. There are only symbols or marks to show us the path towards the cave, from that mountain to this mountain. But now on the way back, there are no marks. And now how do you find the path? It's going to be very difficult. It's not easy that, okay, I took this direction, I took left, I took right. You forget all of that. How do you find the path back? So somehow we struggled and managed to reach. And this time we did not reach together, because some took this path, some took another path. There were 2 people going by this way, there were 4 people going by that way. Some climbed the mountain from the front, some climbed the mountain from the back. And later on, after so much of hard work, we reached back. Then again, we were discussing about the whole point, and we came to a practical realization. While going, it was easy because there was someone to show us. While coming back, it was so difficult because there was no one to show us. We had to manage on our own. And for that short journey, you can imagine if we went through so much difficulty finding out the path, how difficult it would be to find the path back to God without any help. It's going to be next to impossible. One cannot do that. So that's why Guru or spiritual master or teacher is imperative. One must have that guidance. One must have. Then only that goal can be reached. Otherwise, one will get lost very easily. Because on that path also, there are going to be innumerable challenges, obstacles, turmoils, hardships. And a person who is not properly sheltered, like we studied in ISKCON Disciple course, ashraya, taken shelter. One who is not sheltered, one may easily become disheartened, disappointed, one may lose faith, one may give up, and one may not meet the goal. That's why this is very important. Now, talking about the book, which I want to share with all of you, that how it came about, is this. Since I have been in ISKCON for quite a number of years now, this is the 14th year running, in ISKCON, and I have spent a lot of time living in the temple and seeing the devotees, so many devotees, very closely. What I found long time back was that the stronger the stronger relationship a devotee has with his or her guru, the more they are progressive in Krishna consciousness, the more they are happy in Krishna consciousness, and the more they are able to contribute to the spreading of Krishna consciousness in a positive manner, in a healthy manner. So this relationship is of paramount importance, And for this relationship to grow in the right manner, there has to be right education about it. People have so many confusions, doubts, misunderstandings, and that has to be removed. So I always thought that there should be something on this topic presented in a very practical manner. Later on, we expressed this desire, and it was also actually wanted by His Holiness Bhakti Devadatta Maharaj that we should have a book on this topic. He likes to be in Vrindavan, and he goes to different holy places in Vrindavan. So we were once in a very special place called 𝗕𝐨𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴. If you happen to go to Vrindavan next time, do go to that place. It's a beautiful kund near Raval and 𝗳𝗿𝐴𝐴, the place of Radharani. And the speciality of that kund is that whatever desire you make, by touching the water of that kund, it will fulfill those desires. So Maharaj gave us a talk about the pastime that happened there, how the demon Kamsa became a gopi by taking bath in that kunda. So it's a rare story, not so commonly known by people. And then he told, if you ask anything, this kund will fulfill that desire. It was 2017, and I expressed to Maharaj in that place, I thought this is the best place to ask about it, that can we have a book on this topic called Guru-Disciple relationship? Maharaj said yes. So I told at that time to him that people, they don't like philosophy so much, they get bored and then they sleep. So the book should not be only philosophical, we should have stories, and from stories we should draw lessons and talk how these lessons can be practically implemented in one's life. So we should give them tools and technologies for practical application, and we should tell them stories. And Maharaj said, okay, so you bring me stories and we'll talk on that. He started talking on different stories. We had around 50 to 60 lectures on different stories, pastimes, question answer sessions, and we collected huge amount of content from his talks, content from the talks of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, and content from the books from Srila Prabhupada. The next challenge was putting them all together in the form of a book. That was the next challenge. So what I did was, I was looking for people who can edit very well, who can put all this into the form of a book. I have a friend who had worked in BBT, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, and he had served as a proofreader, so in some ways editor also of some of the books. He had compiled some books on the basis of teachings of Prabhupada. So I asked him, will you do this task? Will you do this job? He said, okay, let me give you a try. He tried for some time and then he raised his hands, no, I cannot. I don't know how to bring out this book in a way that everyone can learn from it. We got stuck, no way to move ahead. And there was pressure building upon me that, it's been a long time, the book is not coming out. 2017, you started working on it. It's 2019 now. So where is the book? What are you doing about it? So one day, I somehow draw inspiration from one of my friends. I called him and I said, you have compiled a certain set of books. Can you give me some guidance on how do you do that? And he said, well, what I did was different. In this case, you have to do something different. So you have to figure out. I was very hesitant to work on the book because I have not been a good writer. In my school days, I struggled to write essays. So I was good in mathematics and science, but when it comes to writing essays or literature, I was not so good. So I was never thinking that I will put my hands on this and do this job. But later on, that seemed to be the only option, that I should sit down and start working on this book. So what I did is, I kept the picture of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj in front of me on my table, and I prayed to him that I don't know how to do this, but you can please guide. Why I did so? Because I'm telling you the story behind this whole, thing of putting the picture there. My friend, whom I had approached to write the book, to compile the book, his mother, she lives in Pune, and she is very good in Hindi. So someone had asked her to translate one of the books of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj in Hindi a couple of years ago, and she shared that she was living just with her husband. Her only son is brahmachari, so they two were living alone. So once her husband was out of town and she was all alone in the house, so she had a lot of free time. She could, dedicate all of that time to do some project with much sincerity. At that time, she took up the task of translating that book into Hindi, the book of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, a small book. And for those 10 days, she got this feeling, this experience, that while she was working on the book, there was someone whom she could not see, but there was someone, and there was some very strong positive energy around her, which was protecting her, guiding her, inspiring her to complete the book. And her sixth sense, her intuition said that this personality, this energy is coming from His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj as a blessing, because she is working on something related to him. Maharaj had been a very mystical person. If you study his life, you'll know that. If you think of him, he'll start interacting with you in a very subtle manner. So I took inspiration from that incident. If it can happen with that lady, if it can happen with that Mataji, then certainly Maharaj can help me also come do this book. So keeping that in mind, we started compiling the book. Slowly, pages by pages, chapters by chapters. And luckily enough, I got two people, very professional, one from UK and one from Africa. One is a professor in Africa, in English, West Africa, and the other is a translator in UK Assembly of English to some languages. And they agreed to do the proofreading for the book. So I thought, okay, I might have done a bad job, but then I got two very good qualified people to do the correct job, to set it correct if something goes wrong. The book was done. And when the book was done, the next thing was how to make someone write forward for it. Because if it's the first book in the name of this author, and if we get a famous person write the forward for it, then the book will be accepted by a wider audience, right? So we thought of some names, and we thought of approaching them to write the forward. I won't take those names here. We approached one person, one spiritual master in ISKCON, very popular, very famous, and he agreed to write the forward. So all set. Person to write the forward is done, book is done, printer is spoken to, the date of launch is decided, everything is done. However, just 2 or 3 weeks ago, then that devotee refused to write the forward. He said, I'm too busy, I could not get time to read the book, and I cannot write the forward. I'm sorry, my blessings are there with the book, but I cannot do this. Now here I was stuck. The launch date is decided, the book is going to go for print, but then there's no one to write the forward. Now whom to ask? And for anything I have to decide, I have to first check with His Holiness Bhakti Damodar Maharaj, who was not in India at that time, he was in Africa. So if I write to him, he may not reply to me on the same day. I may get the reply in the next day or in 2 days. So I have just few days to decide. And I call up the printer, who is a devotee, and he said, why don't you ask His Holiness Gopalakrishna Goswami Maharaj? And I said, I would love to ask Maharaj, but then first, he is very busy. Second, I have never seen him write forwards to any books. And third is not in Mumbai. If he's in Mumbai, I can go to him and ask him, but he's in Delhi. Now to connect to him and then ask him and get it done, it won't happen. And moreover, then that person also told me he's flying to Russia today night. So I said, wow, very good. Now, this is the option left, and tonight he goes to Russia. So then how can we make this possible? So then he told me one thing, I can help you. I'm in Delhi. You send me the table of contents of the book, and I'll meet Maharaj at the airport. I'll just show him the table of contents. If he likes, he may agree to write. If he doesn't like, we'll go for some other person. So I said, okay, I like your idea, but then I don't have time to cross-check with the author. I should have to ask the author at least first that, someone should be approached to write the foreword, then I should ask Maharaj first. And then he said, well, if you ask Maharaj, will you get reply today? I said, I don't know. It may come tomorrow. So he said, then when he's gone to Russia, you are not going to get him. I said, that's true. Now what to do? So I took a risk. I said, let us try. Let me ask here, and then tomorrow I'll say sorry to Maharaj and said, without asking you, I asked him to write the foreword. So I said, you go ahead. I'm sending you the TOC. You meet Maharaj at the airport. Check with him. So that devotee did that. In the airport, he just got few minutes to speak to Maharaj. He pulled out the paper and showed to Maharaj, Maharaj, this is the book. This is the TOC. Will you agree to write foreword? Maharaj saw that in a couple of minutes and he said, yes, I will do. It seems to be a very good book. I said, very nice, one thing done. Now, second thing is, what will the author say if he comes to know that, okay, this person has agreed to write the book, but maybe I wanted someone else. So I was a bit skeptical. I knew that he may also agree with this, but still there was some doubt that, did I do something wrong? I did not check with him. So I called Maharaj and said, Maharaj, I made this decision without asking you. I'm sorry for that, but I had no other option, and this was the only option left. And he told, well, you didn't do anything wrong, because in my mind, this was the second option. You did not do anything wrong. The first option got cancelled. In my mind, this was the second option. So we are on the same page. I said, well done. Thank you so much that, nothing went wrong here. You also wanted the same thing. This happened. The book was decided, the book was launched. Everything went very well. People start sending appreciation and feedback. After a couple of months, I got in contact with someone very special, his name is His Grace 𝐒𝐨𝐴 Prabhu, lives in US, and he's a disciple of bhakti Maharaj. Now, this is very interesting. He was the person who was responsible to print all the books of Bhakti Maharaj when he was present on the planet. His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj has a huge number of books to his name, around 20 books, wonderful series, Spiritual Warrior, Beggar, Leadership in the Age of Higher Consciousness, excellent books for all those people who are in leadership positions. They want to do something nice for the world. They want to be revolutionary. These books are so important and so helpful. So he had these books published, and this personality, 𝗬𝗎 Prabhu, was a big helping hand in that. So I got in touch with him because he received the book Spiritual Connection. He read it, he liked it. We started chatting, talking with one another. So I told him, you see, Prabhuji, I have a desire to bring out a second part to Spiritual Connection. And this time I want to take more content from the lectures of Bhakti Maharaj. Will you help us? Will you share the content? Will you provide us with the content? So he said, okay, I'm ready to do that. And then I told him, let's do a deal that, you have this service from your spiritual master, and somehow you're not able to do it now. And we have a team who are qualified, who are eager, enthusiastic. Let's come together, team up, and print out more books. He said, okay. Because when Bhakti Maharaj in 2005, he left his body, he called this devotee, 𝗬𝗎 Prabhu, and he told him, after I am gone, I want you to print a certain number of books. Not only did he tell that, he even gave him the titles of those books. Titles in the sense, the themes of those books. And not only did he give him the themes of those books, he also gave him the archive of lectures which can be used to produce those books. So almost everything was done, just that you have to use that and bring out books. So I asked this devotee, Prabhuji, why it has been so many years, you all were not able to bring out the required number of books. He said, because after the guru is gone, then the disciples, they become weak, they become little confused, they get scattered, they get divided. So our team broke up and people got lost in so many different individual goals, and they forgot the instruction of the spiritual master. I was struggling alone. I tried to print some books, but I could not bring out the major ones. So I told him, can you please share that list with me? Let us see what are those titles, what are those topics, and what is the archive of lectures that you have. We can work together. He agreed. He was very happy because, somehow that he got support, that there are people to help me to fulfill the order of my spiritual master. So he shared that list with me. Now this is the most interesting thing. I did not know about that list. His Holiness Bhakti Damodar Maharaj did not know about that list. Only this devotee knew about that list. And the second topic in that list was Guru-disciple relationship. The second topic in that list was Guru-disciple relationship. And I was amazed to know that this is what he wanted and I did not know about it. This is what he wanted. Bhakti Damodar Maharaj did not know about it. But somehow other, through some inspiration, through some connection, through some intuition, we decided to work on the same topic. We took content from his lectures only and we brought out a book on that topic. And then this devotee told me something more interesting. He said, Prabhu, if you would not have done a book on this topic, after a few months, I was going to launch a book on the same topic. But when I saw that you did it, I stopped doing it. So he was also getting inspired to do a book on the same topic. The lesson which I wanted to share was that this is what spiritual connection means. That I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about the principle here that when people are serious and sincere to stay connected to the parampara and try to do something for the pleasure of the parampara, then the parampara will, in a very mysterious manner, engage us without we knowing that we are being a part of a great plan. We are being used as an instrument. Like Arjuna was told by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita that you become an instrument in my hands so that I can use you for my purpose, for my mission. And that will make you and your life glorious. When you start doing things for me, for my purpose. Likewise, all those who are connected to a bona fide parampara should know that we can be used as an instrument by the great personalities in that parampara to do something wonderful for their pleasure and for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So a disciple with this inspiration that I can be used by these great personalities to do something nice is ready to carry out the instructions of the spiritual master or the parampara, that let me contribute. And in that way, I make my life glorious. In this world, everyone is trying to use us in some way or to some extent. Who doesn't try to use us? Everyone tries to use us and squeeze things out of us, So if that is what has to be done with an individual, why not allow oneself to be used by God? Why not allow oneself to be used by great personalities? Why not allow oneself to be used for a great cause? And when we do that, then we make our life really, really valuable and meaningful. So in this whole episode that happened, I immediately called up Maharaj, Bhakti Damodar Maharaj, and I told him, Maharaj, you see, this is what Maharaj wanted, and somehow that this was done, without we knowing that this is how it should be done. But now I can see all the pictures falling in place, keeping the picture of Bhakti Maharaj in front of me while compiling the book, knowing that later on that it was his desire to have a book on this topic. And when the book came out, the kind of appreciation we received from devotees, not just devotees who are new, but even devotees who are in the movement for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, about how the content of this book can help you to become a very good devotee, can help you become a very good disciple, and help you understand what it means to be committed and loyal disciple of a spiritual master, and how at all times, in all situations of your life, you can be very thoroughly connected spiritually to the Guru Parampara. That science is beautifully explained here. And if we start practicing it, as I told in the beginning of the session, we will see a lot of miracles happening in our life. Why? Because Krishna will be interfering in our life through the parampara. And that will keep us very, very happy. That will keep us very, very focused. And we'll be then ready to pay the price that one has to pay to reach the ultimate goal. If we don't get these inspirations, if we don't get these experiences, if we don't get these realizations, we will never get the strength to pay the price that one needs to pay to actually meet God or see God or to be in the association of God. So this all is needed, and this will all happen when we understand the science of spiritual connection. That's why the book is titled Spiritual Connection, Understanding the Dynamics of Guru-Disciple Relationship. How does this relationship work? And how can I initiate this relationship? How can I dive deeper into this relationship? And how can make this relationship go beyond the material boundaries? In material world, the material relationships, they end because of, there's a distance, a physical separation, so the relationship ends. But in spiritual realm or spiritual arena, the relationship does not end with physical separation, because that relationship is heart to heart. The connection is heart to heart. And for us, it's important to know how to first establish that heart to heart connection. Second one is establish how to nurture that heart-to-heart connection, and then later on rejoice that heart-to-heart connection and share it with others. So that science is beautifully dealt with in this book. Now, what story I told you, there's a second part to it, but I won't tell that now, and I won't tell that during the course also. I'll tell that part when the second part of this book will be out. Spiritual connection too. So you'll have to wait for that. But then that part is also very, very interesting and very amazing, that how spiritual connection works. And this can work with anyone, anyone who is eager for it, one can see this happening. Just like if you have an electric bulb, which is functional, and then you connect it to electricity holder, a bulb holder, the bulb will light, isn't it? The power supply should be there, the wire connection should be proper, and the bulb should be functional. The bulb will light. It's a science. Likewise, if a person as a candidate of discipleship is properly situated and one is properly connected to Parampara, then one will experience that spiritual light in one's life. One will experience that. One has to experience that. There's no doubt about it. And that experience is so scintillating, that experience is so mesmerizing, that experience is so rewarding, that gives the strength to day in and day out persevere on the path of Krishna consciousness. It makes the journey very exciting, very adventurous, very rewarding. Otherwise, it may become a very boring journey back home, back to God. Very, very boring or very, very dry, And I am sure none of us want that. I'm sure we all want that journey to be very happy journey. We want that journey to be full of wonderful experiences and realizations. We want that journey to be juicy, not dry. Of course, ups and downs will be there, but then we want that journey to be steady, and we want to reach the goal ultimately. So for that, this book will help us a lot. With that, I'll stop here today. Any comments or questions for what we discussed today? From the next session, we will start with the first chapter of this book, which is called Surrender. All right. So thank you so much for patiently hearing. Anything which you would like to share or ask, you can by raising your hand. Or else we'll stop here. nothing, right? Today we did not discuss anything difficult. Okay, so we'll stop here. See you next week on Sunday. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki